Welcome to the build showcase for the God Slayer PVE build. We're going to cover everything you need to know to make the perfect build so you can 2-cycle chases, farm layer 2s, and do a ton of other bosses with insane speed. Anyways, for the starting achievements you want to go this and this. Although you do want to unlock Frost Draw as soon as possible, and we are going to unlock Shadow before you Shrine of Order. For these starting stat points, we're simply just going to put 4 into everything, except 3 into Charisma. Anyways, you immediately want to go 60 Iron Sting and 60 Gale Breath. You'll see why in the talent portion of this video, but this leaves you just above Power 8. So we're going to put 1 point into Heavy, and then we're already going to Shrine of Order. From here, you just want to go into 20 Shadow Cast for the Shade Devour mantra, 80 Frost Draw, 94 Heavy, and then for the actual core stats, we're going to go 15 into Fortitude, 20 into Strength, 25 into Agility, 5 Intelligence, 20 Willpower, which is actually very surprising, and 25 Charisma. Now, just to quickly explain the Willpower, the only cards that would really affect us would be Underdog, because that provides a 10% boost to a lot of things. Although I prefer to go the Charisma, just because it allows me to Shrine of Order my stats down further, and it's generally more worth it, since this build relies pretty heavily on its mantras. In terms of the order, I'd suggest going your Strength and Agility first, then you can get your other core stats up to where they need to be. Then you do your element, starting with ideally Shadowcast, then Frost Draw, since you just need 2 3 stars and 1 star from Frost Draw, and obviously do your heavy last. Heading over to the mantras real quick, because this will be a lot quicker. I'm gonna grab Warden's Blades, this is amazing at building chain stacks. Frozen Servants, because you can move stack it with your M1s. Ice Cubes, because you can essentially do the same thing. And I really only grab Gale Lunge here. This is just because it allows you to do a neat tech with Glacial Arc, plus you can inhale this thing with Maestro's Blade. Next, we're going to go Metal Armament. This is just an extra M1 and it's super powerful. For your mobility mantras, you're going to grab both Ice Skates and Glacial Arc. Glacial Arc lets you gain immense height, and Ice Skates is probably the best mantra in the game for layer 2s. It allows you to do them very easily. And for your 1 support mantra, you want Shade Devour. This is just a free extra 20% buff, plus it works with charged returns, so it's insane. Now let's move on to talents, the major portion of this video. First of all, you can't do this without Chain of Perfection. This is just a must-have, because it essentially doubles your damage with this build. Next, we're going to go with the World Without Song. This is incredibly important because you could proc Nullifying Clarity with this. Plus, you're already going to be inhaling mantras from Maestro's Blade. Next, I went for my Spine Cutter for the extra M1, Fishman for more damage, then I kept going down and I went Thresher Claws for the extra pen, Speed Demon so I can apply bleed whenever I do get a good Crazy Slots roll, Blood Eye and Spirit for the health, then once you come down here I grab Kickoff for the extra speed, Time to Go so I get a speed boost when I kill something, Grand Feast and Carnivore to essentially give you infinite hunger, and I grab my Giant Slayer, Tough Love, Gale Leap, Nullifying Clarity, and Charge Return. This is probably the best duo in the game. It is insane for damage. And I grab my Inhale and my Aftercut just for some more free damage. Wind Step, then I grab my Old Habits Die Hard because it's another free plus 5 HP talent. Grab your breathing exercises, Health Pack, an Ether Kit, Armor Conserver, that's just a generally useful talent. And I grab my Maestro's Blade, this essentially applies wind to your M1s. It's a damage boost and procs the World Without Song and Nullifying Clarity. So it's super useful. Next, grab your Matador. This is very important because it works against Chaser. Exposed Durability, because most mobs don't have armor, it's another free damage buff. Haunted Gale isn't really important because you're not hitting with Gale mantras very often. And as you can see, we're at about 32 talents. Although you can exclude some like Chain of Perfection from this, if you want a more accurate count of how many talents you really have. But now, you may be asking, what do you do with the rest of your talents? Well, from here, I just stacked as much elemental intensity as I could. So let's grab Frozen Legs for a free +5, Scuba Drana for a +5 HP that I missed. I grabbed an elemental rebound for ice, just because you can get more tempo, which is very useful if you have ferocity. Next, you want to grab gale coil for even more elemental intensity. Chilling flourish. Do not grab fragile freeze, as this can occasionally spawn an ice block where chaser is, and that can really mess up with hitting Warden's Blades. Orbital Ice. This doesn't give a lot of elemental intensity, but its free damage reduction is very useful. Cryosis is another free +5, as well as Frostbite and Frostbuster. Do not grab Crystallization either, as you ideally want to be proccing chill on things. Now, coming back to this, you can grab Haunted Gale just for some free elemental intensity, as well as I'd actually recommend grabbing Metal Eater. While this doesn't give elemental intensity, it means your armor can be used as a substitute for Ether. Now, you can go Scrap Singer if you want. This isn't really necessary, I just did it because I think it looks good. And now we're at 47 talents. Obviously, this is very hard to do, but keep in mind a lot of stuff endgame is just stacking elemental intensity. And before I forget, on this build, you want 6 Song Chant and 6 Proficiency, just because you want your mantras and weapon to be dealing maximum damage. Finally, you want to grab your 3-star damage Evan Sphere Hand Axe, or ideally, if you can, a Divine Axe. I personally put Detonation on this, although if you can get Umbral Knight or Astral, obviously it's going to be a little bit better. And as you can see, we have insane damage already. I'm using an Ishin's ring for a lot of my runs just to max it out, as well as rings that give me extra strength, willpower, and charisma scaling. Actually, scratch that, you want an agility over it, just because it gives you a little more damage. As you can see, you're doing 1400 with the Divine Great Axe, but with an Evan Spear, you're still dealing 1076. In the summary section, we can see the amount of elemental intensity you've got, as well as the HP. And before I forget, you want to try to get the Unbound talent for Frostdraw, just because it's an extra plus 10 HP and you get it for free. Anyways, this has been the ultimate God Slayer PvE build. I'll put this link in the description along with a lot more stuff on the notes in case you forget what this video says. In the description, I also have a link to a run that I did with this exact build where you can see just how strong it really is. I highly recommend you check it out to see how it plays. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed and make sure to subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys next time.